Good afternoon, everybody. So let us begin the season 2, Gyan ELL, Gyanal Skills for the Gen Z. So I welcome all of you to this afternoon session. This is jointly organized by the Department of English and Research of our college, along with the Internal Quality Assurance Cell. We have 2 days. Today we have 2 sessions. The first session, which is by Dr. John Vijay Kumar, and the second session by Dr. Professor Ramya Sri, followed by 2 sessions tomorrow also. So we had a overwhelming response from participants. Actually, we thought, or actually our prime intention was, our target group was the students. So then we found that English language learners or learning does not with a particular group. So we thought we'll extend to everyone, though the title is Gen Z Learners. As we know, during this lockdown period, many of us are not digital learners, but still the lockdown period has made us to learn technologies. So at this juncture, I thought it would be a faithful thing if we just limit it to the students alone. So we thought, okay, we'll make it to the English language and literature. So we are very happy that we had a lot of responses and we it to 500.
Okay.
I'm sure many participants will be joining now. And I'm happy now our principal, Dr. K. Palraj, is with us. So I request our principal to welcome this August gathering. Over to you, principal, sir.
Thank you, sir. Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You can continue, sir.
Is audible? Audible?
Yes, yes, yes. You can proceed.
Okay, okay. Okay. Good afternoon, sir. Very respected resource person, correspondent of our college, Advocate Rajadurai, head of the Department of English, Dr. Prabha Punyavadi, IQAC coordinator of our college, Dr. T.B. Thomas, faculty members, and my dear student participants. Good afternoon to all of you. On behalf of the NMCC family, I express our greetings and also I welcome you all. During this COVID-19 pandemic lockdown period, many institutions are conducting online teaching learning process by digital platform. Our college is also the IQAC initiated to perform various online programs. Many departments are being conducted, many online programs such as webinar or quiz or workshop, etc. This is the first program conducted by our English department in collaboration with our IQAC. There are 4 resource persons are arranged. They are from Konku Engineering College, Perundurai, Erode. It is my privilege and happiness to welcome you all. First of all, I wish to welcome today's resource person, Professor L.S. John Vijay Kumar, who is going to deliver on the title Soft Skills for the 21st Century Learners. On behalf of the NMCC family and all the participants attending this webinar, I welcome you, sir. Next, it is my happiness to welcome Professor or Ramya Sri, Assistant Professor of English, Konku Engineering College, Perunturai, Erode. I am very proud to say that she is our alumnus of our college. She brings many credits to our college by serving the education through Konku Engineering College. Today is in the second session. She is going to deliver speaking skills for English language learners. On behalf of the IQAC English department and my own behalf, I welcome you, ma'am. Next, it is my happiness to welcome all the participants. Definitely, I hope you will be benefited by acquiring some knowledge regarding the skills of for the general. I welcome all the participants. I take this opportunity to express my sincere thanks to the organizers, IQAC coordinator, Professor T.B. Thomas, the head of the Department of English, Dr. Prabha Punyavadi, and also other faculty members who are supporting to conduct this event in a successful manner. Above all, I thank our correspondent for his kind cooperation for conducting such events in our college. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, dear principal. So without much time, we are going into the program. So let me introduce the first resource person, Professor John Vijay Kumar. He works as an assistant professor, selection grade in the Department of English at Kongu Engineering College, Perundurai, Erode, in Tamil Nadu. He is also the administrator of the English language laboratory in his department. He has been officially working in English language education for almost 20 years. His educational background: he holds a BA from Joseph's College, Tiruchirappalli, and MA from Loyola College, Chennai. He has completed his University of Madras and is pursuing his doctoral research at VIT University, Vellore. His area of specialization includes ELT, applied linguistics, computer-assisted language learning, and cognitive and computation. He creates learning materials, based activities, especially for listening skills development. He is a center at professional ELT in India and has conducted various ELT work for teachers and students. He loves to interact and be associated with people who are proactive and enterprising, and willing to serve the academic community with zeal and sorry, audible? Hello?
Audible.
Okay, fine. So at this juncture, I am very happy to introduce Professor John Vijay Kumar to this August gathering, this online platform. And now I hand over the session. Resource person, Professor John Vijay. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. Thank you so much, Dr. T.B. Thomas, IQAC Director. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
So I can, okay, right. So welcome to everyone. Good afternoon. If you people don't mind, just excuse me for a minute. Let me officially thank the management. I think the name Advocate Rajathurai, then the principal, Dr. K. Paulraj, if I'm right, Dr. Punita with the HOD English, and Dr. Tibi Thomas, IQAC Director, a close friend, other colleagues from his college, colleagues who work with me, especially the resource person who's joining me today, Professor Ramya Sri, participants, teaching fraternity, research scholars, and students. I'm so grateful to the management, the principal, and the IQAC director for giving us this opportunity. It's a really wonderful opportunity that you have provided us to reach a whole lot of participants. First, we thought it's going to be maybe Tamil Nadu and Kerala, but now I am able to understand that a lot of people even from other parts of India are joining us, teachers, scholars, students, and so many of them. So it's wonderful. I'd like to thank everyone at Nesamani College, and thank you so much for this opportunity. One of the important reasons for choosing this particular topic is its relevance today. Now you come to an engineering college like ours, you will really be surprised to find the importance that is attached to the English department. Now everyone wants to learn English, and they want to improve their skills for various reasons. And you won't believe it's not just for communications, for the sake of communication. Today, to get a job, there are certain qualifying rounds, certain exams that they organize, and language plays an important role. Like for example, verbal aptitude and things of that sort. They need to take a test, and in that test, all these language-related aspects are tested. So when an engineer gets ready to leave the college and to join the professional world, there is a lot of need for him to really have good language proficiency. Now, when I mean soft skills, as you know, it's just not language proficiency. It's something beyond that. It's what I would say from the theoretical perspective can be understood something like this: the difference between communicative competency and linguistic competency. There are two things. One is the grasp of the language. The second one is how you use the language. That's the function and then the use. And soft skills comes somewhere in between, because it's not only language, it has other things also. But in the course of this particular presentation, maybe I will show you how so many aspects of soft skills, it has something to do with language. And MA, MPhil from English literature. So I did an arts college. I completed my MPhil in English literature. It was an American literature. But then all through my career, I've been into this field of ELT. So it's about language teaching, to the undergraduate engineering students. Now, apart from that, I also understood there is another important dimension, that language will be of much use in the future. Now, as I progress progress and as I come to the end of my presentation, I will explain to you where it all leads us to. Now, let me first explain to you the objective of my presentation. One minute. The first one, those joining this session, you will be able to understand the concept better. When you talk about soft skills, I'm talking from the conceptual part. So you'll be able to understand that better, number one. Number two, you'll be able to apply this concept to real-time situations. So when I talk about soft skills, now I'm not going to talk more from what are the soft skills that are available or what are the soft skills that need to be learned and all those things. As a practical example, let me show you how you can apply this concept and then understand soft skills. Number three, it should also help you to use and develop strategies so that you can teach and also develop your own strategies of learning and also of exhibiting these skills. Now, I'm going to use this three things: define, relate, and explain. So based on this, I'm going to base my presentation. So three objectives. Number one is to understand. Now that's at the conceptual level. Number two, the practical level, you should be able to apply it. And the third one is to use and develop your own strategies, because that's very important. We need to learn and internalize and then try to be creative so that we can transfer the concept and our practical experience and use our own methods to develop it better. Now let me go to the definition part of it. Maybe I want you to just think for 1 minute. How do you define soft skill? And when you understand the term soft skills, now what comes to your mind? You just, because we don't have the interface to exchange our ideas, maybe you need to think or understand, maybe immediately bring to your mind one or two things that immediately comes to you. Now, one, of course, when we say soft skills, definitely communication skills definitely is an important thing. Immediately that comes to our mind is communication skills. Maybe you can also think about other aspects of soft skills that immediately comes to your mind. As you keep thinking, let me just share a small story. I think it really happened, or whether they have created the story for the sake of it, but at least because I know the name of the person involved, I think somewhere it really has happened. Now, this incident was an incident that is related to the first space mission. Now, what happened is, after there was a space competition going on between America, the US, and Russia, and though US was really way ahead in space technology, but surprisingly, what happened? Russians were the first to put a person in orbit. If I'm right, I think my science knowledge is right. If I'm not wrong. So this particular astronaut, after going to space, he went there, and then after coming to Earth, he had something very strange to say. Now he said, I went there and I just searched and I couldn't find God. Now, whether he really said, because when I went to the net, whether it's really a statement, we do not know, but this story is there around, it's there available on the net also. So this person, this astronaut, he had this to say, whether that he said that after going there, I searched a lot, but I did not find God. Now, what happened is, the reporters, as you all know, they immediately caught hold of this spicy remark, and then subsequently they went to the US, and one of the evangelists there was asked this question: "Sir, do you know that the Russian astronaut has said like this?" He says that after traveling to space, he searched there and he couldn't find God. Now they asked him, "Sir, what is your answer for that question?" Now the evangelist, he just kept quiet for a minute or two, and then he said, "No, my friend must have done something. He must have left the space module, that is a spaceship that he was traveling. Maybe a friend sat inside the spaceship and he was searching out, but if he would have left the space module, I'm definite he would have immediately met God." So why I'm trying to share this story is the two aspects of a particular thing. That is the aspect where you do something and then you come to a conclusion. For example, in our thing, we call it empirical study. You do something and then you conclude. That's one way of learning. The other way of learning is something more than that. It has a whole lot of other dimensions also. Like, it's just not the theoretical and the practical part of it. It has the other dimensions, like it has the social, it has the psychological, it has the emotional dimensions. So what I'm trying to tell you is, when you talk about skills, there are two aspects, because usually we understand from the academic realm, we understand it like this: knowledge, skill, and then attitude. Now, knowledge is theory, concepts, science, all those things, we keep it under knowledge. Attending classes, taking tests, doing your assignments, all those things. Especially, it's, for example, for a student, it's more from a classroom perspective. Now, of course, we also have this wire knowledge, that's one side. The second of skill, the practicals. Now, if you come to a college like us, an engineering college, for every theory course, it's usually backed up, or parallelly, you have a laboratory course also. One thing which I really earned to, like, I'm really so much, I really want this to happen. Even in a literature course, time has come where we need to be thinking about having this laboratory or the practical dimension to our theory classes. Anything it could be drama, novel, whatever it is. For example, you take English language learning in an engineering institution. You have theory courses and you also have a practical course where you have to come, and it's almost like an experiment, given marks, assessed, and they get they of these things. Now you may be wondering, what I'm trying to tell you is, apart from the theoretical and the practical dimension of learning, soft skills is the next thing, the third one, because it's something more than this. You look at the practical definition that's there. People's ability to communicate with each other, now that's one, and work well together. So that's how it's defined. Now I'll give you one or two examples for that. We are focusing on soft skills such as team building and communications. Soft skills and appearances are becoming more important in companies' recruitment decisions. Now this is from the Cambridge Business English Dictionary. So this is how they define soft skill. Okay, we'll move on. Now look at this particular slide. I want you to have a look at it. Now, when I began my seminar or this webinar, I just told you that most of the things that come under soft skills, you will find the language dimension related to it. Now, I have how many? 1, 2, 3, 6, 12. Can you just have a look at it? And 10, I'm sorry, 10. So you please have a look at it and then try to see in how many of them language plays an important role. Because as I understand, most of you are from the literature or the language background, maybe teachers or students. So before we move on, I want to emphasize this fact that soft skills has got a lot of connection to language skills. Now, clear communication, listening, sense of humor. Now, all these will come under this category, soft skills. So you can understand that the language dimension plays an important role in such aspects. Now let me show you the next picture, where I want you to have a look at it and just understand the difference between hard skills and soft skills. Now don't worry about the quantifiable part, that's okay. But we need to understand how soft skills is different from hard skills. Now, for example, let me give you a very typical example, because the word soft skills, to my understanding, must have come from this particular area of specialization. Now, you look at computers, now they have two things. One, they have hardware, the other one, they have software. Now, the hardware part is the part where they can physically touch it and then they can handle it and do all the repairing and all those things. They can connect it and all those things. And the soft skill is, the software is basically the digital part that is there associated with computers. Similarly, as language learners, I think we should also have this clear distinction between hard skills and soft skills. Now, though communication and clear communication, empathizing, being very friendly, all those things will form part of soft skills. The other part is also to be there. That is the language part, where you learn that part also. Now let me move on to yet another dimension before I show you a practical example of how we need to understand this. Now, for a few minutes, you come out of that concept called soft skills, because I also want you to tell you a particular thing which is associated to learning. When we try to learn something, there are 4 specific dimensions that we also should keep in mind. The first one is this realm which we call the natural one. Now, please don't understand that this learning is very general. This is also connected to language learning. When ELT as a branch of study started to evolve. As you may be aware, the first thing, which is a grammar translation method, had more to do with translation. It's like you have your text in some other language and you are taught to translate that text, usually a classic from literature. A classic piece, you are made to translate from that language to English or vice versa. And then they started teaching learners to acquire language proficiency. One of the important disadvantage was you need to have a specialized trainer to do that. The teacher has to be a specialist. And this was available only for the elite of the time. I'm talking, this is all about early, very early, the 1900s I'm talking about. So from this particular approach, what we call the grammar translation method, they were looking at something where everyone can learn. You know, today, if you look at the American philosophy, it says like this: no child, they even have an act for that, no child left behind act. Education today is not exclusive. It should be available for everyone. Though you have certain parameters to qualify and enter, but everyone should have the opportunity to learn a particular skill or a particular area, specialization, whatever it is. And this massive open online courses are really a big move in that direction. Now, so when they thought that this aspect of learning language is more restricted in the grammar translation method, they wanted to do something a little more so that everyone can do it. And then came this method, the direct method, which was more based on a way a child naturally acquires the language. Now, of course, there's a lot of difference between a child learning a language and an adult learning a language, between a student developing soft skills and an elderly person being trained soft skills. A lot of difference. But still, one way of learning is this. It's the natural way of learning. You just do it naturally and you follow the same way as you do it in the natural world. For example, if you take English language, especially ELT, we call it LSRW. The sessions that are going to follow this session, you're going to see have something on speaking and writing. So that LSRW is the natural order by which you learn a language. You take a child, it learns by listening, then by speaking, then by reading, and then writing. 1 minute. I think there's a question. Just 1 minute. Yeah. Someone has raised a hand. 1 minute. Not audible, sir. Okay. They say it's not audible. TB sir, am I audible?
Sir, you are audible here.
Okay, but because there's one student, Shanmuga Sundaram or someone says not audible, raised enough.
This could be problem with the local.
Maybe with the, yeah. 1 minute. Okay. So shall I continue?
Yeah,
Okay.
Your voice was breaking in between in some few instances, but it was clear. It was clear.
It was clear. So it's okay. So I'll go on, right?
Now it's fine. Yeah, totally fine.
Okay, right. Okay, fine. Okay, now let me come back. Okay, now this one. Now, so learning happens at the natural level. That's something very important. Now, please bear with me. I know maybe if you're in the literature word or something, this might sound too technical. As of now, it might sound technical, but I will try to connect it, okay? Because for long, I thought we need to know these things. I learned it the hard way, maybe after going to an engineering college. It was an ELT professor who taught me this, but this basic background will help us exploit our own resources in a better way. That's why I'm into it. Just give me some time. I will then connect it to language and literature. So the first one is the natural way of learning something. You learn it exactly the way it's done in the natural world. I was talking about LSRW: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Now you look at our own K-12 education. Our professor used to tell us, his name is Dr. Sasisegaran. Now he used to tell us, see, focus is more on reading and writing, then a little bit on speaking, very, very little on listening. You know that. Teachers will definitely know that. So it's RWSL. I'm just giving you an example of how the natural way of learning is not followed, at least in K-12 education. If you are going through the normal way that we are doing it, I'm not talking about all. For example, there are certain things like, for example, CBSE or whatever board, and it's not that one is good than the other. What I'm trying to tell you is there are certain methodologies which follow the natural way. But for example, you take, in my case, I did it in matriculation. Now, I was taught this way. Suppose language, it is reading, then writing, and then a little bit of speaking also. I don't remember, at least up to my 12th standard, 10th standard, there was any test for speaking. I don't think so. And then listening, of course, very, very little. Now, this is one of the important aspects. So I don't know, literature students should maybe tell me more about that. Now, I did my BA, MA. I think only in MA, I remember I was made to give a presentation. So all my BA classes, maybe third year BA I did, if I'm supposed. Up to that, it was more about, reading books, and then about writing exams. Of course, you do listening a little bit because, listening because you listen to a lot of lectures. That also happens, but speaking, not at all. Okay, and when it comes to the testing was more, focus was more only on reading and writing. Your test, either you read or you write. I don't remember in my BA there was any test where I did it on listening. I don't think so. And speaking, no, not at all. At least when I was doing it way back in 1990, it was not there. I do not know whether it's there, part of the testing methodology now. Learning, of course, you have listening, reading, and writing. I don't know, speaking is there, but testing, definitely it is only reading and writing. So this is one thing. Now we'll go on to the next thing. The next one is the behavioral aspect. Now, this is where I started when I started my career. Now it was 1999, 2000, when computer assisted language learning was used for language. Now in India, we used in 2000, this came in, but in the US or in Europe, way back in 1930s, they've started this. So from natural learning methodology, which was part of the direct method, audiolingual method, and which later on was taken over by computer-assisted language learning. All these focused on making learners develop the language proficiency by repetitive drills. We call it repetitive drills, or it is like you try to influence the behavior of the person by immersing him in a lot of language, and then trying to make him or her learn the language. Now here something happened. As they were going through this process, they understood that the input was not equal to the output. Now what I'm trying to tell you is, there are 60 learners. You teach all the 60 learners in the same way. Not all of them exhibit language proficiency of the same level. It varies. So however hard you try to push it, try to influence the behavior part of it, still it's not like an production line, you give so much of spares, you give it, and so many cars come out. It's not like that. So there's something different. Language is something different. So that is where they understood that the next dimension is also important. That's the psychological part of it. What the what do you call the learning realm understands. The learning people understand. They understand it as the cognitive aspect, both understanding. Of course, the emotional part also comes in, but it's more about thinking, remembering, and then understanding. So that's a psychological part. So that also has a important role to play. So that is one dimension. It's not just trying to teach someone repeatedly that the person might learn it. It's not like that, because there is something called processing in yourself. Your brain has to process it, and that is where the variation comes. Whether it's natural or whether you're trained, that is, in other words, whether you're taught or trained, still an individual has to absorb it, imbibe it, and then has to process it. So when it comes to production of anything, for example, language, let's take language. You have two skills which are receptive skills, listening and reading, and two skills which are productive skills, speaking and writing. So it's not that it's going to be the same for all the learners. It's going to vary, because something happens there, that is between the receptive and the productive thing happening. In between, there is something called the processing thing happening. Now that's where the psychological dimension comes into play. Now then, the fourth one is the social dimension, and that is where, as of now, English language learning stands. Now the social dimension is what we call the communicative language teaching methodology. So the grammar translation gave way to the direct method, which followed the natural way, and then went on to the audiolingual method, which is the behavioral way. Then they went on to the cognitive world also, because at one point in time, psychologists started giving their theory to learning, and their contribution influenced learning a lot. If you go to the net, you can refer to a person by name Vygotsky. So many people out there. Chomsky, so many people. You just go and look at their findings, or you look at what they have said. It's there available on the net. You can understand more on that. But apart from all these things, the natural world, the behavioral aspects, and the psychological aspects, it was also understood that the social dimension also plays an important role. When I say social dimension, it is the environment that you come into. So the people whom you move with, the environment where you actually make use of the skills and the knowledge that you have. So these four aspects play an important role. I don't know, maybe literature also. Even literature students, you need to think seriously about looking at these four dimensions and try to map it to whatever you are doing. I know because from your world perspective, it's about drama, it's about poetry, it's about fiction, and all those things. But ultimately, it's about people, and it's about the society that everything is concerned with. So we need to put this. But when you talk of soft skills per se, then all these things come into relevance. Now, as language teachers, our role may be to begin with, or a majority of our role has to be concerned with language and how language and other aspects associated with language influences soft skills. as I showed you, out of those 10 aspects that I mentioned, 10 soft skills that I mentioned in the slide before, if you just look at it here, the slide that I was showing you earlier, you can clearly understand that language is very important. And you may be a teacher or you may be a student, because I used to tell my students, when you are a student, you think of the possibilities that you have. You can take up a job. Now you take a student doing English literature. You can become a professor in a college. You can become a language trainer, or you can join the industry. You can become a journalist. You can become a content developer. So many things. You can join the industry. And I used to tell my students, you need to think now. Now, what is going to be what are your future plans? It's based on that your learning has to happen, because in soft skills, one of the important aspects of soft skills is goal setting. You need to set a goal. To set a goal, you need to have a proper profile. Only if you have a profile, you will be able to set a goal. Now, to have a proper profile, language plays an important role. Now, what am I going to do? I'm not talking about only literature students. It can be any student, okay? The way in which you lay out your goals, the language aspect is very important, because that will really get to make you start the job of building your profile. That's very important. Now, that's when you build a profile, it's both hard skills and soft skills, but that's very important. So I want you to think about it, and also these 4 dimensions. Now let me move on. Let me give you a practical example. 4 things: natural, behavioral, psychological, and social, maybe to understand it better. The first one, look at the child. We'll take the example of a child. There are so many things that it learns naturally, and certain things that we make it develop, like we train the child. That's the behavior part. We do that. And then the psychological aspect. And then the social aspect. Now, it's going to be true for a child. You should understand how important all these 4 dimensions will be for us. Maybe if you're a student or a teacher also, as a teacher, we also need to grow. Something called continuous professional development, where we learn a lot of things. So this part is very important. Let me also just take the example of what's happening today. We are in a totally different world. Lockdown is totally new. I think 2004 or something, when something came and hit the coastal regions of a country. I think I was a language teacher by then, but that word was not known to me. When they said tsunami, it's totally new. I never heard about that word. I did not even know what it was. Then I realized that there is a tsunami warning center of the US government way in the Pacific, has been established in 1964. So there's so many things that is totally new. The situation that we are in today is totally new. So we need to develop a lot of things. Now, the reason why I'm trying to take an example that's happening now, the soft skills part that was applicable February 2020 before and after is totally different. Now, I'll just give you a simple example. Look at the natural world. You can't be roaming around as we used to do earlier. Your restaurants closed, beaches closed, malls not open, closed. It's totally different. And they say you can't touch here, you can't go closer to people, careful, vegetables may carry infect, so many things. Okay, so many things. So the natural world is totally different. And based on that, my behavior has to change. Now I need to keep distance. Okay. Now I need to be very careful. Now I'm not comfortable wearing a mask. Last few days we were in college. I really wondered how students are going to manage. It's totally very, very difficult, you know, moving around, wearing a mask. Everywhere you go, they give you sanitizers. Your temperature is being checked. You need to stand in a queue, go there. Very difficult. A lot of behavioral changes need to happen. And that puts us into stress. So the psychological dimension is totally different. You're so scared. Friends whom we moved so close, now it's totally different. And the social thing, again, you can't have friends in your, you can't invite them. Even in my own cabin, you know, I had to maintain that distance. A lot of things. So when you try to understand something like soft skills, this is also very, very important. How is it that I understand and use it and also teach it to others based on what I'm experiencing now? So when you try to learn a particular thing, it's not just based on knowledge. It's not just based on the practical aspects of it. The social aspect is also very, very important. Now, language has evolved. Language teaching and language learning has evolved like that. Now, social dimension today, it's totally new. Like face-to-face was what we understood social social learning. Today, no face-to-face. Social learning is totally different. It's online. Okay. Now we sit in front of the computers. We have to learn through this computer. Technology is going to catch up. They're going to find out means so that we can talk to each other. So even this social aspects, though we are in lockdown, we are quarantined, still a lot of things are going to change. So everything, as someone said, Mano, I need to go to my professor. I used to say everything is in a state of flux, changing. It's very, very true today. So you take soft skills. I'm not trying to prescribe this, but my suggestion is, I don't want you to go flip a few pages, take a book and just understand what soft skills are. Okay, 10 things, time management, goal setting, it's communication skills like this, 10, not like that. Okay, so I want you to practice this holistic approach of learning and understanding things, because this will give you a better grasp. When you understand better, you can apply it better. And when you apply it better, you can design things on your own. Strategy is not just learning from others. Strategy is about developing your own strategies also. So I'm only trying to give you a methodology. It's not just a fish, but a fishing line, a way by which even your learning experience will be different from what maybe we are used to, or maybe what we are very comfortable with. Sir, I'm not able to meet my teacher. I'm not able to get the books. I'm not able to do things as I used to do. The only way is through the net. Absolutely no problem, right? When you really have the awareness of how to go about, definitely it can be done. Now, I want you to look at soft skills from this angle. One side, of course, you have the language dimension, because most of us, we are from the world of English language and literature. Now, one side it's language, the other side is a soft skills part. Now, how do I relate it, and how do I learn it, and how do I use it, is what is very important. I do not know whether we have the provision of asking you any questions, but at least I would I'd like to give a short break so that you take some time to internalize what I've been saying so far. I have another 15 minutes more. So I just want you to look at this picture. I have a small activity, and then maybe okay. I'm sorry, I'm just opening up the chat box. 1 or 2 minutes. Anyone interested to send me some information? Can you just quickly put it there? The chat is open. If you want to say something, you can chat with me. Okay, right, good. Okay, boat house. Okay, right. Now, maybe I do not know how much of time I have. Now, what I will do is how to overcome ego in working environments. Yeah, I'm coming that. Okay, boat house picture maybe about voyage and so many other things. Right. Of course, this is available there in the net. I will also leave with TB sir a link where you can download, and you can really maybe you can really watch a few videos also to learn about it. It's about a journey in the sea, exactly. Now quickly, because I just have 15 minutes, now let me take you through this activity just to show you how you can use a story or something to teach soft skills. 1 minute. I have some questions. I will take those questions at the end. Upload PPT. Yes, I will make my PPT available. I will make my notes available. Everything is, I'll make it available. No problem, right? First, at this point in time, I want you to just relax. Just come back to this picture. Maybe another 10 minutes. So I need to be quick. Okay. Now, this is about a voyage, Kon-Tiki, Thor Heyerdahl. Okay. Now, I just take you to the next slide. I want you to read this. Now, Kon-Tiki is the name of that raft. It's not a boat even, because a boat you have possibility of moving it or taking it to the place where you want it to go. There's something more. Kon-Tiki is about a raft. A raft is usually at the mercy of the wind or the ocean current. Totally, it's not propelled. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Now, there was a great mystery. The island in the Pacific, there was this theory, 1 or 2 theories of how people would have reached that island. Now, this island has been inhabited. People are there. Now, how did people reach that island was the question. One theory suggested that this island must have been populated by people from Southeast Asia. Now, that's one of the theories. But then this person, Thor Heyerdahl, he thought that could it not be from the west part of South America? Maybe people from South America, the western shores, someone from there, why not? Now, that's what the theory that he had in his mind. So he had this idea. He thought that maybe natives of South America using drift voyaging, that's basically using a sail, might have reached these islands and they could have populated it. Now this is the text that I have taken, and this person, when he wanted to take this journey, he started assembling a crew because he wanted people. Now 7 people on that list. He himself was there, then an thermodynamics engineer, then a childhood friend who was a trained soldier, then a telegraph operator, 2 people, a sociologist. So the 6 of them, they were supposed to travel on that raft, and 1 person, Gerd Waldheim, maybe I'm pronouncing it from the way we do it. She's basically a Norwegian. She was supposed to stay on land and maintain the communication link between the raft and the mainland. Because if something goes wrong, there should be a way of rescuing these people. Now this Thor Heyerdahl, he assembled a team and then built a raft. Now that is what we saw earlier. This raft, he built it, and then the journey started. Now this is there in this particular slide. April 28, 1947, that as we were becoming, or we were getting ready to get our independence, something was happening there in the West Pacific coast. Expedition was about to happen, and the story is there. You can just read that story. Now, the reason why I have taken this particular activity and I wanted to show it to you, in an engineering college like ours, soft skills, we approach it from a different angle. We just give the students the concepts, we train them a little bit, we test them, and then we assess them. Now, I just had this thought in mind. Now, that's okay. Okay, from a training perspective, that's okay. That's quick work, fine. Now, will it be possible for someone in the world of language and literature to use what they are doing today to then embed this soft skill training to their subject? Yes, it's possible. Now, you take a simple incident like this. You look at the various things, right? Like I was talking about the 4 things: the natural dimension, then the behavioral, the psychological, the social, the emotional, and all those things. You take a story like this, all of these aspects, you have a blend in this particular incident. So using this particular incident as the base, definitely I feel soft skills, you can both learn on your own, you can also as a teacher teach soft skills, because it's easily possible to extract threads that are associated with soft skills. What I mean, things that are associated with soft skills, and then train a student or maybe even a professional and help them build soft skills. That's possible having a language piece like that. Of course, what I'm doing is task-based learning. We call it TBL. When it's task-based, the text can be anything. It could be a visual text, it could be a video, it could be audio, it could be a story like this, novel, fiction, poetry, whatever it is. It's possible, okay? And it's definitely possible for us to use this text and then start moving on, so that you can make students understand and then learn the basic aspects of soft skills and do other things. So I just wanted to have this a small activity. I leave this on my PPT that will make it available. I will give you the link. You can use this. Now, in that link, I'll also leave some more links that will take you to the video and the text files about this. Before I end, maybe another 2 minutes, I just leave you with one more thought. Now, this is the last one. Now, I look at the life of someone doing English language and literature like this. There are three aspects. Now, one is you stay in the world of literature, you can write, you can create your own pieces of literary works and all those things. That's one part. That's one aspect. Or you, as you said, you can become a professor in a college where you start training, teaching students who come and join a literature course. The second one is this profession where the entire world now looks at English language teachers to develop language proficiency. Now, there in this particular world, it is scientifically done. It's not like the way we learned language and literature. You have training given in a very scientific way, and then assessments done scientific way. If you want to know something more of that, you just go to the net and look at something called CEFR. That's very closer to what we are doing. The Cambridge English website has more information on that. CEFR is a framework that helps you to scientifically measure language output and also define language input also. So that's the part which you can learn from there. So from the world of literature, you will have this world of language teaching, but then there is the third world, which is also now coming up, and that's the world of artificial intelligence. Now, from people learning language for personal things to the professional world, now machines are going to learn language. So there are three aspects to it. I call it the link from the literature aspect to the ELT aspect, English language teaching aspect, to the aspect of artificial intelligence. Okay, like machines have started to think very basic aspects have all gone. Sensors, embedded systems where machines were trying to get inputs from basic devices are all now gone. Machines are going to be very intelligent in the coming days, and language is going to play a very, very important role. What they call cognitive process-based, language-based cognitive processes that are embedded on machines. So language in the future will have a whole lot of new avenues. We have a whole lot of new avenues. So when I understand soft skills, I look at soft skills from the aspect of three worlds. One is the world of literature, second one is the world of language teaching, and third is the world of machines where language is going to play an important role. Maybe, I don't know, I think my time is over. If I'm right, it's 3:15. If I can borrow 1 or 2 minutes from the person who's to take over from me, Ramya Sri ma'am, my colleague and friend at Congo Engineering College. Before I hand over the session to her, I just want to open up the chat box so that maybe 1 or 2 questions or something that I can have. You can take 5 minutes. Okay, someone is giving me 5 minutes. Great. Okay. Thanks for all thing. Number one, maybe as ma'am is going on with our session, I will create the link and I will make the link available on the chat area itself. So you can have that link. That link will have the presentation also. So I will get it ready for that, for you by that time. Any questions? I had a few questions. 1 minute. I'll look at those questions and I'll see if I can answer that. 1 minute. Listening skills, skill development is the beginning of language learning. How could you change that? Can you please clarify? Satish Yen. Okay, Satish Yen has asked this question. I'm really not able to get the question, but from whatever I'm able to understand, Satish, listening skill development. Now, Satish, what I was trying to mention, see, for example, I'll give you an example. Kindergarten, yes, the teacher gives young students a lot of opportunity to listen and then to learn the language. But as you move on, just take first standard, second standard, third standard, and we'll just stick on to the aspect of language learning. Teachers do teach, but it's more about using books, reading, and then writing. You just remember how you learned it, right? Grammar, fill in the blanks, question answers, prose, poetry. Now that's how we do it. Now that's the methodology that is followed. Teaching. Now what about testing? Of course, today I know pretty well things have changed. It's far better than what we had. But when we did it, even today, you take a testing like our theory courses, language theory courses in engineering college. Testing is basically confined to writing, reading. That's all. Reading comprehension, writing answers. That's it. Even listening is not there. So, holistic learning has to take all aspects into consideration. You have to, both while teaching and while testing, we need to find out how much of language a person has learned through this listening mode, and also test that and give a score for the person to really understand it. So that's what listening development in the beginning, that's what I was trying to, that's how I understand that one new message. Okay. I hope I've answered your question. Prince, is language acquisition possible for rural students to technology like virtual conferencing? Dr. Prince, when it's about technology, there is one thing that is very important. Use technology, but don't rely on it. We need to leverage technology, not lean on it. That's very important. Because what happens is, whenever we talk about technology-based language learning, it's more about presentations, softwares, it's more about online resources. Everything is fine. Okay, but still the fundamental focus or the focus or the fundamentals, it has to remain with language learning. So both the teacher and the learner should be aware of specific strategies that can help absorb language, whatever mode it could be. It could be from a textbook, it could be online, it could be online resources, computers, or from my teacher, from my friend. That's all fine. But language is very important. Okay. Cognitive intelligence is part of attitude. Definitely cognitive intelligence, yes, it starts with cognition, right? Of course, when, just imagine 3 months before going from my house to my college, driving my car is just, I just have to concentrate, ensure that I'm on the right road. That's it. That's enough. If I can drive, I have learned driving, I just think and then I reach my college. Today it's totally different. You know, there is the emotional part of it. You know, am I going to meet a policeman on the way? Or suppose he's one of my friend is going to ask, wants to join me. No, am I going to take him or not? Is it possible? Can I take him in my car? So many aspects. You know, practically speaking, your experience has changed. So, you know, based on your social environment, your cognitive and your behavioral things, your social things, a lot of things change. So cognitive intelligence is definitely related not only to your own self. It's definitely dependent on society also, right? Okay, 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute. Okay, okay, right. Will AI hinder our jobs? Definitely not. It's not going to hinder our jobs. Okay, so when people language learning is expression, I'll come to that question. AI will not hinder your jobs. When computers came, people told us that computers are going to replace human beings. People are going to lose jobs. Definitely not. Computers, the world of computers, it has only created more jobs. Now look at it with your COVID, computer is becoming more and more useful. So more jobs. So definitely not. Definitely not. I don't think it's going to be there. Language is an expression of culture. Sir, what is your thought on this statement? It's a Pilmco. Okay, of course it is. Language is an expression of culture, definitely. But again, as I was talking about, there are so many things. One is culture, second one is academics, third one is a professional world. Then of course, we don't take this at all into consideration, something called the spiritual world, so many things. Okay, so language belongs to all, not just culture and tradition, not just literature. Now that's what we thought. When I was doing a BA course, I thought language means literature. No. Today, engineering, marketing, MBA, everything. So language has, it's owned by so many people. I'll tell you one surprising news out there in the market. More than English language teachers, soft skills trainers, many of them are not English language teachers. Most of them. I can even use the word most of them. Language teachers are there, but proportionately you have other people also doing language training. So thank you very much. I think I can go on and on. I've just only touched upon the tip of the iceberg, but this is going to be followed by more sessions. So you will have an better understanding of things to come. So thank you very much for all those who have joined. I will leave a link which you can follow and you can take all this information. Thank you very much. Over to Dr. T.B. Thomas, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir. And
thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the questions that were asked the participants. It was indeed a wonderful session. We all enjoyed your talk.